Hello, I'm Wendy. Today I'm painting snowdrops in watercolour. It's an easy tutorial and it's suitable for all ability levels. This is the final painting that I'll be working through. I popped it into an 8x10 mount and I think it would make quite a nice gift. It's a nice size for giving as a gift because you can easily get the 8x10 frames. You can of course paint it smaller with not so many flowers in the composition. And again, you can make some nice little cards, I think, from some of the ideas that I'm going to give you. Anyway, I hope so, and I hope you enjoy watching the tutorial, and I hope you have a go at painting. This is a tracing that I made of that final painting that I did. If you would like to use it or parts of it, then you can download it, and there's a link in the description box below. As you can see, I didn't put on the stems and the leaves for this drawing. I was working from a rough sketch and I was unsure about the final placement of the stems and the leaves, so I thought I would do those freehand at the end. I masked out the flowers as carefully as I could with quite a fine brush and some PBO masking fluid, rinsing the brush between applications so that I didn't ruin it. Probably have your stems and the leaves penciled in at this stage, but there's no need to mask them out because they're going to be painted a dark colour. I started by doing a background wash. I wet the paper all over so it was really very damp, and then I dropped in my mixes of colour. For this particular picture I was using cobalt blue mixed with cadmium red. I wanted the painting to look as if the snowdrops were actually growing out of some snow, so I stopped the wash about 3/4 the way down. But because I'd wetted all the background with the water to start with, then I was getting a very soft edge down there. And then I carried on with adding some darker tones around the flowers so they would stand out against this slightly darker area when the painting was finished. I added some darker paint also on the snow line and then put a very dilute mix below there to suggest some shadow in the snow. I'm holding the paper at the bottom at a bit of an angle just to stop the paint running down the page. I added a sprinkling of salt on the snow line there just to try and enhance the softening of the line. There's no need to add the salt there at all if you don't want to, and I put a little bit higher up in the picture as well. I didn't want to get the effect of falling snow or to overdo it with the salt in this picture. The next stage was to place a little bit of shadow onto the petals. I was using the same colours, very diluted. So you can maybe see what I'm doing here. I'm putting on some paint on one of the petals and then pulling it away and washing it away with water to give it a soft edge. What I'm attempting to do here is to separate these petals with tone with this paint, so that when I rub the pencil lines out, the petals will still be separated. You can see that it's happening here with this particular one that I'm doing, putting on the paint, washing off the brush, then pulling it away so that you get a nice soft edge. Be very careful when you're doing this modelling work not to put too much paint on. You don't want to lose the white freshness of the flowers. For the stems themselves, I used a dark mix, and I used Prussian blue with burnt sienna for most of it. Some of the green that I put on, as you can see here now on these little tops of the flowers, I put in some yellow ochre. I am darkening them, and I did use a very dark paint when I was painting the stems and the leaves. I felt that worked well with the white of the snowdrops and the colours that I was using. The stems and leaves I tried to paint very simply without going back too much into the original paintwork that I'd put down. I'm using a rigger to do the stems, and for the leaves I used a round brush. I rubbed off the pencil marks, and then using a very opaque white, I used a very small brush to see if there was anywhere that needed tidying up on the petals. The masking fluid can sometimes leave you with some very, very odd shapes and can miss little bits. I was being very careful when I put this on, so there wasn't an awful lot of fixing to do in the end, which was quite pleasing. And finally some splatter work to suggest the falling snow, and I put one or two larger snowflakes on with a round brush. So here's the final painting again, and I thought you might be interested in looking at a couple of others that I did. This one is using ultramarine and light red as the colours, and this one is just using cobalt blue with a touch of Payne's grey. Lots of ideas, I hope, to use in your own paintings. If you like my work, then do subscribe to my channel and you won't miss anything that's coming up in the future. Bye for now, and as always, happy painting.